These scriptures bringing these laws to remembrance. Ya'oh says only a remnant gon' hit a call, but are you chosen? Yeshayi-Ya'oh that gon' test the hearts of those who join him. So you can find me standing with those who wish to keep the commandments, and at war with all those who say we can't do, only examine. I was just like you, I played the fool, the lure by propaganda, asking questions led me to Ya'oh. No one else had the answer. Halalo av Ya'oh, sorry, I gotta let out the bar. When you see all these obstacles in front and you just depart. Halalo av Ya'oh, sorry, I gotta let out the bar. When you can break these scriptures down and actually save your brother's heart. So just hold off on popping champagne. We still here in the fire. Being correct throughout our campaign shows what Ya'oh
Ish at Raiho Yazaro. Wala Achel Ya Amar Chazak. Wa Ya Chazak Kharash at Sarap. Machalek Patesh at Holam Paim. Amar La Dabak Tobho. Wa Ya Chazak Ho Bamas Marem La Yamut. Wa Atha Ya'oh Shar'al Ghabade Ya'oh Rakab. Ashar Bachatecha Zorai Abram Arabe. Ashar Hakzaktecha Makatsot Ha'aratz. Wa Ma'atseleha Karatecha. Wa Amar Lacha Ghabade Atha. Bakatecha wallah ma'asatecha. Al ther che ramcha ane. Al tashatai che ane Allah echa. Amatstecha ap gazatecha ap tamachtecha. Bayamin sadake han. Yabasho wa yachalamo chol hanacharein bacha. Ya'oh cha'en wa ya'abado anashe rebcha. Tabakash am wallah tamatz am. Anashe matzatcha Ya'oh cha'en wa cha'apas. Anashe malchamatcha. Che ane Ya'oh Allah echa. Machzech yamencha ha'amar lacha al there. Ane chazatecha. Al there ra'eh tolaith Ya'oh gakab. Mate Ya'oh shar'al. Ane chazatecha na'am Ya'oh. Waga'alcha kadosh Ya'oh shar'al. Shalom lachem Ya'oh shar'al. Za harit Ya'odah bandor chana chorash. Waza chalak mar'a hashene la hachreshu ale e'em patharon hachazon basapah nabe Yashai-Ya'oh chal parach arba'in wa achad. This is part 2 of Keep Quiet Before Me Islands, a breakdown of the vision in the book of the prophet Yeshai-Ya'oh, the entire 41st chapter. I'm going to speed things up a bit here. In part 1, I did a detailed grammatical analysis of each word in verses 1 to 5. But in this video, I'm just going to define the words of the source language for the most part, and of course provide a translation into the filthy heathen English. So there will be less technical grammar talk, which I know puts many to sleep. For those who want the grammatical breakdowns, you are more than welcome to come to class, where we parse out the source language regularly. There is a Zoom class every Shabbat day that I teach, and there are also classes held during the week. Just go to our website, www.yaohshar'al.com/classes for more information. Okay, now on to verses 6 to 14 of Yeshai-Ya'oh, the 41st chapter. Just to recap, verses 1 to 5 told us about the Almighty giving a group of nameless islands a command to be quiet and to allow His people to come there and to renew their power, and they get there by flying in airplanes. We were told that a tzedak, a righteous man, is raised up from the east, which is where these nameless islands must be located, and how this man will be their leader and be undefeated. His opposition will be nothing to him but dirt to his sword and chaff to his bow, but he pursues them on a road where feet never tread, meaning the information superhighway, or the internet for short. We also learned that those islands in the east will witness the transformation of the people, and they will be reverent. These islands are located at the end of earth, in the east where the earth trembles, meaning earthquakes happen there frequently. The prophet accurately called that one too. He could not have known that without being told by Ya'oh the Almighty. Verse 6, first clause. Eish ath Raiho Yazaro. Eish ath Raiho Yazaro. Eish is the masculine noun meaning man. In this case, the noun is indefinite and means a man. The next word is ath, which is the preposition with. Then Raiho, which is the noun rai plus a pronominal suffix meaning the close associate of him. The translation neighbor in the Queen James Bible and in other English Bibles is inaccurate. This word rai is not talking about any person who lives next door or your fellow human being in general. It is talking about the person who believes everything you believe. Your close associate is someone who shares the exact same worldview that you do. and lives just like you live. The default assumption is that they are a member of your own race, but more importantly than race, is the keeping of the covenant of Ya'oh. A member of the same race of people as you, but who is not keeping the commandments of Ya'oh, is not your Rai. He is not your close associate. They forfeit that status. It is not enough that they look like you, or even that they descend from the slaves brought by ships across the Middle Passage like you. That's not enough. They must be doing the will of Ya'oh, or they are not family. The verb Yashai-Ya'oh at the end of the first clause means they will help. They will help. And with this, we get the full clause, Eish Ath-Raiho Yashai-Ya'oh. Eish Ath-Raiho Yashai-Ya'oh. A man with his close associate will they help, comma. The next clause is, Wa la'acheo ya'amar chazak. Wa la'acheo ya'amar chazak. And to his brother he will say, chazak. Chazak is a command word, an imperative that means be strong, be encouraged. We say chazak to the brothers all the time in the nation. Chazak, chazak, be strong, be encouraged. But why? Why is verse 6 here? And what does it mean? The people of Ya'oh, his chosen few, the remnant, are coming to the islands of the east in an exodus. It is Ya'oh who is bringing them. It is Ya'oh who is bringing them. But they must do their part and get themselves ready. They must plan ahead. They must save money. They must network with other brothers and sisters who are making the same move so they can move as one and with confidence in what they are doing. They must do all of this before buying a plane ticket and boarding a plane bound for the other side of earth. It's a big move. That's why verse 6 is here. It tells us that the people making this move will strengthen one another. They will come together. They will support each other, and they will encourage one another. Ya'oh is with us. Chazak, chazak, chazak. That's verse 6. Now for verse 7. Wa ya chazak charash ath sarap. Wa ya chazak charash ath sarap. The artisan will encourage the goldsmith. The artisan will encourage the goldsmith. Machalek patesh ath holam paim. Machalek patesh ath holam paim. The one that beats smooth with hammer, the one who smites the wheel anvil. Amar ladabak tobho. Amar ladabak tobho. The one saying, for the joining good it is. Wa ya chazakho ba masmarem la yamot. Wa ya chazakho ba masmarem la yamot. And he strengthened it with adhesive. It will not slip off. And he strengthened it with adhesive. It will not slip off. The word masmar in this clause is mistranslated as nails in the 1611 Queen James Bible and in other heathen English translations. This word actually means adhesive. The activity being described in verse 7 is the art of gold leaf production. The making of gold leaf requires hammering pure gold into super thin leaves, which are then applied to an item with an adhesive, not with nails. I'm going to show you a brief clip now of gold leaf production in England back in 1959. Notice the beating of the hammers in order to smooth out the gold. But keep in mind that the art of gold leaf production goes back thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians were doing it, and so were the people of Ya'oh, our ancestors.
Power now put to its most artistic use, the beating and rolling of bars of gold, each one worth £1,000, into the sheerest gold leaf. At this factory in Ruislip, Middlesex, first stage is the casting of the gold bar. Most of us would be perfectly happy with just a bar of the stuff, but because of its brilliance of effect and remarkable durability, gold is put to more practical uses. And that gold bar we saw, after being beaten by hammer, is now rolled with increasing pressure into a ribbon 300 feet long and 1/1000th of an inch thick, and then cut into squares. This is an industry that goes back to the earliest times. In fact, gold beating by the Egyptians of 2,000 to 3,000 BC can still be seen untarnished and unbroken on mummy cases in the British Museum. Craftsmanship is still the key factor, and techniques haven't changed much, except that today gold is beaten to 1/10 the consistency of ancient times, believe it or not, to 4 millionths of an inch. From original gold bar to the finished leaf takes 7 stages, involving several quartering and beating processes, so eventually laid side by side, the leaves from one bar would cover over 9,000 square feet. Every process requires skill of the highest order, but experts like the machine hammer foreman can check thickness from sight alone. Notice, by the way, that the leaves are protected by skins of vellum, specially made from the intestines of an ox, and the whole lot enclosed in bands of parchment, making what is called a ch. Work in every aspect of gold leaf is so precise and delicate that a hare's foot is used for powdering or cleaning the protective skins, which, because of their strength and resilience, are more valuable than the gold leaf they hold for beating. They're even smelled from time to time to check their condition, which varies in different weathers. Strange as it seems, the traditional skill of hand beating is no slower than the mechanized way, and considerably more precise. A man has to be apprenticed for several years before he's considered expert, and 77-year-old Joe Woodward has been doing it for 63 years, and using the same hammer. The finished leaf is cut into 3.5-inch squares, not by knife, because the gold in this stage would stick to steel, but by sharpened bamboo. The leaf is now ready for use. Outdoors on landmarks like the cross on the dome of St. Paul's and the gates of Buckingham Palace, and inside in such arts as gilding picture frames. Altogether, a remarkable transformation. Gold leaf, less than a wavelength of light in thickness, a little known but truly golden work of art.
Question time, right? Question. I know what you're thinking. Why in the world would black people coming from the Americas, the descendants of slaves brought by ships to the land of pyramids in the New World, why in the world would they be coming all the way to a group of islands in the Far East to make gold leaf? What do they need gold leaf for? Why does the prophet Yashai-Ya'oh foresee a day in the future when his people will be encouraging each other to produce gold leaf in the islands of the East? Why? Before I answer that question, let me just say at the beginning that a people who can make gold leaf, for whatever the reason, those people are wealthy. They are not broke. They got deep pockets. To have gold in your possession, pure 24-karat gold, gold that you choose to beat into leaves in order to adorn things, that means you're rich. Keep this in mind as you watch this clip by Sean Combs where he talks about his dream for black people.
In my heart to tell y'all, I got this new dream. I got this dream of black people being free. I got this dream of us controlling our own destiny. I got this dream of us taking accountability and to stop killing each other. I got this dream of us being rich and wealthy and living on the same block. I had this dream of us unifying, not just talk on this stage, but us. We know our community and our allies. If you're with us, don't be silent. Put some money in the game, put some fight in the game, because we at war, you feel me? But I got that dream, you know what I'm saying? For us to be free. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. We got to unify.
Gam yash le chalom. Chalom chalamte balayla achar wapata yash ato. Ane hapata. I also have a dream. A similar but different dream than the one Sean Combs just talked about. A much, much bigger and more dangerous dream. But it's not really my dream. I cannot take credit for it. It's the vision of Ya'oh that he gave to his prophets. It's the vision of a black nation so wealthy and so rich that each of them could easily afford to live in the white man's Hamptons, or the white man's Beverly Hills, or the white man's Park Avenue. But they choose instead to use their unity and their wealth to build and to maintain the tabernacle of Ya'oh. That's the reason. That's the answer to the question, why would black people from the Americas come to the islands in the East to make gold leaf? They're making it for the same reasons their ancestors made it, which is to adorn and to glorify the house of Ya'oh in the wilderness. They have set out to do the seemingly impossible, and they will succeed. They will not define wealth and success the way Sean Combs does, which is the way our oppressors want us to anymore. Not anymore. They will not be slaves to the oppressors' marketing schemes. They will not buy worthless and meaningless symbols of power and yet have no real power to speak of. They will have real power, the power to speak their own language, not this filthy heathen English I'm speaking now, their own language, the power to determine what their kids learn in school because they will own and run the schools, the power to control what happens on a land of their own and what laws will be enforced there, the power to appoint their own judges, the power to have their own banking system and their own economy, the power to have their own form of currency, the power to establish their own sovereign nation defended by their own military, the power to be free just like our oppressors defined freedom in 1776, the power to make our former slave masters to be our slaves. That's my dream. That's my dream. But it will not happen within the lands of our captivity. We must leave and congregate in the islands of the East as commanded by Ya'oh, our higher power. We are not free as a people until we have 1776 freedom and the dominance over our former masters. Until the descendants of the slaves who came to the shores of America via the Middle Passage obtain that kind of freedom, they will remain slaves, exploited, manipulated, humiliated daily, weekly, monthly, and annually. Your future is bigger than owning a fleet of the white man's luxury cars and a mansion that he sold to you. That's BS. Your future is to become the masters of this world. But it starts with you returning to Ya'oh with your whole heart and with your whole soul. It starts with building his house and putting him first. He wants you to be filthy rich, but only so that he will establish his covenant. He is telling you by his prophets that you will be unified when you obey his voice. You will have a common goal, the construction of his glorious tabernacle in the wilderness, and you will work together and get the job done because he is going to make you obscenely wealthy. You come to the islands in obedience to his word, weak and powerless, but then he will renew your power there and make you super rich like you used to be. That's your destiny. That's the destiny of his remnant, to become the rulers of this world, not one of its biggest consumers, not its top entertainer, but its master. Ya'oh knows his people. He anticipated what your initial reaction to his plan to make you great again would be. A bunch of broke Negroes leaving America and moving to the islands of the Far East, where they will be transformed into a unified and thriving nation of Elon Musks with gold falling out their asses. That sounds ridiculous, right? Sounds crazy. But crazy is what's going to happen because he said it's going to happen. Ya'oh anticipated your reaction to his plan, and so he had his prophet Yashai-Ya'oh write verses 8 to 14 to help eliminate your fears and your concerns. Verse 8. Wa'afa Ya'oh shar'al ghabade Ya'oh rakab ashar bachatecha zarai Abram abe. And you, Ya'oh shar'al, my servant, Ya'oh rakab, which I have chosen you, the seed of Abram, my beloved friend. He brings up Abram, his friend, because he made a promise to Abram to love his seed, his chosen seed, the seed of Ya'oh rakab, Jacob. That's you. Verse 9. Ashar hachzaktecha ma katsoth ha'aretz. You whom I have taken from the ends of the earth. You whom I have taken from the ends of the earth. He brought you by slave ships to one end of earth to be punished in the land of pyramids. He's taken you from that end of earth to the other end to make you great again. To make you great again in the wilderness. The wilderness is not a barren desert full of sand dunes. The words Madbar and Gharabah mean untamed land, undeveloped land, unoccupied land. That's where he is taking you to in the islands of the east. And that's where you will blossom like the orchid from the microscopic orchid seed. Once you've been planted in the right place, in the right environment, then you will blossom. Wa ma'atzeleha kar afecha. And from the privileged men thereof have I called you. And from the privileged men thereof have I called you. Who are the privileged men at the end of the earth where you were brought by ships to be slaves? The people of European descent, the people who colonized the Americas. Ya'oh is taking you from those people, from the suffocation of white privilege, and putting you in a part of the world where there is no white privilege. It is a place where the people are not arrogant and privileged, but humble and hospitable, and where they will treat you like a king. Wa amar lacha ghabade'atha b'chatecha wala ma'astecha. And the one saying to you, my servant you are. I have chosen you, and not have I thrown you away. He says that because that's what it looks like. It looks like he has thrown us away, leaving us no choice but to adopt the false religions, the pagan ways, and the barbarian languages of the heathens who surround us and who dominate us. All of that is changing because he is bringing his chosen to the wilderness to make them great again. Verses 10 and 11. Al ter ge gamcha ane. Al tashatai ge ane Allah echa. Amatstecha ap gezatecha ap tamachtecha bayamen tzadake. Do not be afraid, for with you I am. Do not look around, for I am your higher power. I will embolden you. Indeed, I have helped you. Indeed, I have upheld you by the right hand of my righteousness. Han, Yabasho, wa Yachalamo cho hanacharem bacha, Ya'oh cha'en, wa Ya'abado anashe rebcha. Behold, they will be put to shame, and they will be confounded, all the ones burning inside against you. They will be as nothing, and they will perish, the men who contend with you. Everything he said he was going to do to us before he did it, he has done it. Everything. That's why we believe the words of his prophets, because he proves himself by calling the events before they happen. He is going to do what he said because his word is on the line and his name is only as good as his word. Verses 12 and 13. Tabakasham walafamatsam. Anashe matzatcha Ya'oh cha'en. Wacha apas anashe malchamatcha. You will look for them, and not will you find them. The men who trash you, they will be as nothing, and like non-existent are the men who war against you. Che ane Ya'oh Allah echa machzek yamecha ha'amar lacha al ther ane chazartecha. For I am Ya'oh, your higher power, the one strengthening your right hand, the one saying to you, do not be afraid. I am helping you. This is the second time he has said, do not be afraid. It's because he knew you would be afraid to leave the comforts of the United Snakes of America and venture out to the Far East, where he is calling his remnant, where his name is being reproclaimed by a ravenous bird. But put him and his word to the test, and watch what he does. Last verse, verse 14. Al thera e tholife Ya'oh Mathe Ya'oh Shar'al. Anegazatecha Na'am Ya'oh. Waga'alcha Kadosh Ya'oh Shar'al. Do not be afraid, you worm, Ya'oh. Men of Ya'oh Shar'al. I am helping you, says Ya'oh, and your Redeemer, the Holy One of Ya'oh Shar'al. This is now the third time he is saying, do not be afraid. Third time. He knew this exodus to the Far East would be a hard sell, a tough sell. And he knew only a select few would respond to such a call, and this is how he weeds people out. This exodus is not for everyone. It is only for those who put Ya'oh before everything. That's what he's looking for. If that is not you, stay in America. But why call you a worm? Why the name calling? That's not very nice. That's not how you'd normally attempt to win people over to your side. What's up with the worm insult? A worm has no legs, no arms, no hands, no feet, no eyes, and is completely defenseless. A worm can prey on other worms, but it cannot prey on any of the animals that prey upon it. Think about that. Think about that. OMPP, Middle Passage people. We are experts at killing one another. Experts. But when anyone from another nation kills one of our babies, all of a sudden we worms. Powerless. Just like a worm. Helpless. Defenseless. And at the mercy of our enemies. Contrast this. The people who the world is calling the Jews today, they are not worms. They got legs, they got arms, they got hands, they got feet, they got eyes, and they are anything but defenseless. They are not the worm this book is talking about. They can't be. Not when you have a nation state with one of the strongest militaries in the world, and one that is the strongest in the so-called Middle East. They are not the worm. You are the worm. But it is the will of Ya'oh, your Redeemer, to take you, the worm, to the islands of the East, where he will renew your power and transform you into a lethal war machine unlike anything this world has ever seen.